Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the October 15th, 2013 meeting of the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen and Sewer Commissioners. We started the meeting at about 6:05 p.m. and went immediately into executive session because we had contracts and or litigation matters to discuss where public discussion of those matters would have been detrimental to the interests of the town. Once again, we'll do the roll call again for the feed.
Present, Selectman Whiteside, Selectman Tropiano, Selectman Holmes, Selectman Slavin, Selectman Teitelbaum, Town Administrator Derek Sullivan, Town Council Richard Bowen.
Next item, please.
Announcements, Judy?
Yes, just two quick ones. We want to remind you all to buy tickets to the Library Murder in the Library show. Public officials love being made fun of, and I'm sure that some of the costumes we're going to be coming up with are going to be very amusing. And the second thing is that I'm not sure what's going on Main Street, but I like all of the scarecrows all dressed up. Some of them represent schools, and I'm not sure that some of them don't represent other, private entities. But it's fun.
Patrick?
My turn. Okay. I just want to remind some of the folks out there that April 18th, 6:30, Wareham Middle School is the Little League annual meeting. Everyone's invited to attend if your children are in the league or are planning on being in the league. And at that point, we reorganize our board and so on. So if it's nice when there's a good turnout and a lot of people show up to be involved. So try to get to that meeting. That's, again, April the 18th, 6:30, Wareham Middle School cafeteria.
Steve?
Red Sox fever is growing on me. If you can't see that at home, there's some hair there.
It's pretty ugly.
It is. It's all gray. It's been years, but so all you guys out there, it worked Sunday night. Dolores rubbed it. Poppy hit that grand slam. So let's keep that hair growing. We have Dave is in the back. I know it's probably unauthorized, but where are you at here? Oh, they're at home. They can see it. We can't see the game here. Announcement. I just picked up some information today. The South Coast Arts Group, they have the Facebook website. There's been a bunch of different programs going on there over at right next door to Onset Music, which is part of Onset Music. And I'll continue to promote that because I think it's a great evening. It's great for kids. It's great for adults to go and work off some of your talents. I did receive some information today that I guess there's no band any longer in middle schools and things like that. And so the South Coast Arts Group is going to be putting together on Thursday nights, I forget the time, whether it's 6 to 7 or 5 to 6 or 5 to 7. They're going to be putting together a group for kids in grades 5 through 8 or whatever that is. And I would just say that call Onset Village Music if you're interested in, or your child is interested in participating, or they used to participate and can't any longer, and they're putting together a group. So that's what I got.
Thank you.
Oh, and I want to remind people that town meeting's coming up a week from Monday, right?
Right.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from Monday?
No, 13 days from tonight, so you're right. A week from this
Monday.
coming Monday, yes.
Okay, a week from Monday.
Yep.
7 o'clock. Don't be late. Thank you.
We good?
Good.
Okay. We have an announcement from Timothy Cruz, our District Attorney for Plymouth County. They're going to have an event in Brockton about the City of Champions Fights Addiction Conference. I bring this up because actually our Board of Health in Wareham is way ahead of the curve. They're talking about synthetic drugs, Noxline Pilot, etc. We have actually already passed a Board of Health regulation that these things are no longer available for sale at the local pharmacies, etc. These are things that kids could buy, and they could do different things with them. They're $5 to $10 items, and they're no longer legal. So it's good to see us ahead of the curve. Wareham Historical Society on the 21st at 7 p.m. at the Methodist Meeting Hall on Main Street. We'll be presenting a description of all 5 of their buildings, what their conditions are, what the actual repairs might be needed. This study was done by the CPC funding of the town, and it's not really just a study, but it's an actual, we'll call it a game plan of what they need to do to get these buildings back in proper shape. So it's money well spent, and they'll be going forward repairing the buildings. And that's all I have tonight.
Just briefly, on Friday, Selectman Slavin and I were privileged to attend the wake for Chief Anderson at the Chapman Colin Gleason Funeral Home. While we were there, we saw there must have been 25 or 30 fire chiefs from other departments, from the Cape, from the South Shore, from all over. And it was truly a sign of the respect that he had earned with his own profession. And also Saturday, the procession was also a testament to how beloved he was by the town. So I just wanted to remark on those and thank everybody who participated. Following up on Selectman Whiteside's scarecrow conversation, there's actually something on Wareham Week, and I'll read it quickly. Feeling creative? We want you. Visitors and the community alike will be able to participate and view all entries of over 80 handmade scarecrows from 6 different categories beginning Columbus Day weekend through Halloween, October 14th to 31st. Okay. This contest is open to all, with prizes awarded. You do not need to be a resident of Wareham. Let your scarecrow represent your business, your cause, or your family. Choose from 6 categories: traditional, whimsical, Wareham business, children's clubs and organizations, family, and all our neighbors. There is no entry fee, but there is an application. You may pick one up at the Onset Bay Association office at 4 Union Ave, Onset, or at Music of the Bay in Wareham. Entries, just lost it there. Entries should be submitted by October 6th. For more info, please contact the office at 508-295-7072. So that's the provenance of the scarecrows. It may be a little late, but I suppose you could try, and if you're artistically inclined and you want to try to get your own scarecrow, maybe it's not too late. Next item, please.
Citizens' participation.
Madam, are you coming as Madam Moderator or Mrs. Smith? Both. Come on up.
Thank you. I'm here as town moderator. Thank you, Mr. Holmes, for letting everyone know about town meeting coming up. I just want to let the public know that generally and traditionally we have had pre-town meetings prior to town meeting, but this time around we will not be having one. And the reason for that is because the warrant itself has a lot of housekeeping articles at the beginning of it, but more importantly, it has several articles that deal with zoning and bylaw changes. The planning board is having a public hearing next week, and I think it's more important that people who typically would come to the pre-town meeting take the time and go to the planning board's hearing. I know if we were to have a pre-town meeting and people had questions about the zoning articles, it would be difficult for us to answer the questions that they might have. So I think it's much better to encourage the public to go to the planning board hearing and give their input and ask their questions there. In addition to that, last week we did a public service announcement and had Mr. Barrett as chairman of the planning board, Mr. Slavin and Gary Buckminster, and that should be airing by the end of this week. So there's an overview of what the zoning articles are, along with, I understand that the articles themselves will be up hopefully on the town website by the end of this week. So because they are so complex and because each article is about 26 to 29 pages, it would be very difficult to print all of those for people to come to a pre-town meeting. It would be better if they went to the town website, took advantage of being able to sit at home and read through it and then go to the planning board hearing. And I know Gary has already had a public hearing on his article, so I think it would have just been a little bit of overkill to have a pre-town meeting, but I know people have asked if we were having it, and I just wanted to get it out there that we're not, and that's the reason why. Now, here as a private citizen, and just tell you about the Summer of Celebration just really quickly. It's very exciting things that are happening, but one of the things that is happening, last week we had 3 gentlemen come to our meeting who have been approached by a publishing company called History Press. And they are going to be writing 2 books, one on the Nimrod and the other on the history of the town of Wareham. So they came to us to ask for our blessing to be able to do it. It will be, the deadline I believe that they have to do the book and have it printed will be sometime in April, so they will be available during our celebrations. But the reason I'm here tonight is I want to encourage anybody that might have anything that they can offer these gentlemen in the way of research. If it's a family that has a history with the town, and if you have pictures or you have a history of the family, if you want to get in touch with me, we can forward the information to them. They will be doing a lot of research over the next couple of months. They're very interested in talking with people. So I just want to get the word out that if you can help them in any way, just let me know if you have something, and we'll give you their information and let you contact them. But it's pretty exciting what they have to offer. They're all professors either at Bridgewater State University, or I think the other one is from the one in Fall River, Bristol?
Bristol County.
Bristol County.
Community, yeah.
All absolutely enthralled with history and research, and I think it's going to be 2 very wonderful and exciting books that we'll have that people will be able to buy around the time of our Summer of Celebration. So that's my reason for being here tonight, is to encourage people that might have anything in your attic or your family history that will be helpful to them. Please let them know and let us know, and we'll make sure that we give you their information to contact them.
Thank you.
Claire, before you go, the wine tasting,
The wine tasting, Easton Bank is sponsoring a wine tasting on November 6th from 5:30 to 7:30. There will be music by Al Russo. There will be an exhibit of nature photography of the late Bob Grumpy Conway. Sullivan Liquors, the wines will be complimentary of Sullivan, and Off the Vine will do the pouring. So it will be a wonderful night on your way home from work if you want to stop in and socialize a bit. The proceeds will be all donated to the Summer of Celebration. And I do have tickets if anyone wants to purchase them, or they can contact Ellen and Martin, or you can make out a check to the Wareham Summer of Celebration and mail it to P.O. Box 203, and we'll hold your tickets at the door for you.
also that the hearing for the planning board is this coming Monday, 7 p.m. in the cafeteria.
Right, thank you.
Have a good night. Next item, please.
We have no bills. I would take a motion, make a motion to approve the minutes of October 1st, 2013.
Second.
Motion made by Selectman Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. You see her? Last week.
We have no licenses and permits tonight. Sewer business, funding source for contract 2. As always, we're waiting on the DOR review. SWMI program, I believe everybody got in their packet. SWMI stands for Sustainable Water Management Initiative. This was a presentation done at the MMA conference back last Saturday. The reason I brought this up for everybody, these pilot programs that they have, recognizing the short-term and long-term costs of our different sewer projects, water lines, etc. The costs of actually doing these projects, which just most cities and towns just can't afford to do. And there's grants and programs available, and they'll increase over the next couple of years. And I bring it up just at this point that we should have Mr. Campina in with the town administrator and talk about what we need to do on our end to make sure that we get in line for the different grants that are available. It would really help offset a lot of these costs that we just can't handle right now. And as I say, everybody's got a full printout of the actual presentation. Is there any questions?
Are there any questions from the board for Selectman Slavin? Okay, we'll put it back on the agenda in the future. Any other sewer business?
No.
None.
Could we pick a date specific for the review of this? Could it be the week after the town meeting, please?
Yeah, why don't I put it on for November 5th?
Thank you.
Let's revisit
My birthday.
Yes, please.
Alan's birthday.
Bring a cake.
What flavor?
Vanilla.
Okay.
Town business.
Yep.
First one, discussion guidance for the town administrator for next year. Mrs. Whiteside.
He knows my feelings about checkbooks, checks and balances, and not spending money that we don't have.
Mr. Tropiano.
No, I have nothing for today.
Mr. Holmes.
It took me 3 days. Reorganization.
Oh, that's what you had the other week on your mind.
I didn't notice one on the fall agenda. I would expect to see one on the April agenda, warrant article. Right? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
We have, it may come on the town administrator's report, looking at the situation with the budget as of last month, just to make sure, see where we're at. We can discuss that next time around. That's it for me.
Yeah, just to reiterate, we did get the most recent expense reports last week, and we'll revisit those next week once we've had an opportunity to look at them, digest them, and come up with any questions. Next item, please.
Next item I have is vote to authorize chairman to sign the CETA grant amendment. I think we had that last week, but it wasn't done. I have nothing in my folders.
No, they actually came forward to me, I want to say last week. There should have been something in the folder this week. There were closeouts, I believe, for 2010 and 2011.
Okay.
So,
Put that on for next week and make sure we don't miss it.
Yep.
Item C has been pulled because we have not heard from Chapo. Initial discussion of upgrade of audio video equipment for the town. Mr. Underhill?
good evening.
The discussion here is
Evening.
basically from the Board of Selectmen to WCTV down the line. Are we looking for a second studio? Are we going to convert the auditorium into an audio-video station as well because of the needs as they keep going with the town? So we do have under our contract with WCTV the ability to ask for these things to be done, which they pay for.
After speaking with Selectman Slavin about a week ago, I did email each one of you a proposal that we got in a few years ago from a vendor on the automating of the auditorium. It would be putting in a large projector, a large screen on the stage, replacing the audio and the speaker system in the auditorium. So I don't know if if that's something that the town is still looking at doing. If that's the case, the Comcast, Verizon contracts do give us the opportunity to fund the funds that come from those companies, are the fees that we get. Audio, video, and technology is included in that. So we do have the opportunity. We can request, I guess WCTV to see if they'd like to fund it for us under the current agreement, or the agreement does expire in about a year as well. And we are currently, the Cable Advisory Committee is meeting currently. That's something that, if the TV studio can't fit it within their budget, we can try hitting up the cable companies in the next round of negotiations.
Thank you for that explanation. Selectman Slavin, would you like to follow up on that, or?
Basically, what the idea is here is we have more committees that really should be out in the public, what they're doing. Planning board, zoning, conservation. Right now, the finance committee does get filmed here in this room, and it gets basically downloaded very quickly onto the TV. And there are, of course, we have days like on a Wednesday, we'll have multiple groups meeting. The finance committee could be meeting, and the same Wednesday, the conservation could be meeting, or it could be the ZBA. Planning board meets on Monday. It's not that easy sometimes for them to come into this room because of the crowds, etc. And if we had a second studio, and since the auditorium was really designed for that originally, we could do some soundproofing work, and they're accepted through the same program, and have a second station available for us. We can even actually move our meetings sometimes in there if we expect a larger crowd than normal.
It'll give you the opportunity for, when we do have larger meetings, when you need presentations you need to put on, we actually have a facility that you can do it in.
Sox have 2 outs.
Questions for Matt while he's up here?
Not at this point.
Are there any other facilities, if we're going to make this request to WCTV, are there any other facilities that the board can think of that it would like to have automated at the same time?
Currently, we have what? Middle school auditorium.
The school,
We have this room,
yeah.
and that's it
That's it?
for automation, right?
Yeah.
But the middle school is not set up. They have to set it up every time.
Right.
Oh, it's not set. I thought we had a room over there. Was it
They
the
do
high school?
have, WCTV does have equipment over there. I haven't been to one of their meetings in the middle school, so I don't know if it's permanently mounted equipment.
not.
Or if
No,
it's,
it's
okay.
So is this the only room then?
This room
Wow.
would be the only room that is physically set up in town to do meetings.
Well, I think
without-
this room, the auditorium, right? And then downstairs here, there's another heavily used room, that big conference room.
Okay,
So I think if we got 3, I mean, that would be,
Talking about 140. Is that where the finance committee used to meet? Is that the one you're talking about?
225.
225.
225, yeah.
where they have to bring somebody in to, Bob, I think, does it a lot.
It certainly would be nice if it's all set up and you just throw a switch and
you
turn the
could
cameras on.
train somebody to turn it on, and that's all you have to do, I think.
All right.
I think that, because that room's used a lot, and then
Yeah, it
we've
is.
offered this room to every board and commission in town to come and use this, except for Tuesday at 7 o'clock, obviously.
Okay.
So we've offered that. I think the finance committee's meeting
Finance-
Yeah, they are meeting here
tomorrow
now.
night, right? So they're going to
Yes.
make use of it, which is a good thing. It's not
Another
selectmen's
bags,
room,
yeah.
it's really
It's town room.
town room.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
The way the contract is written, the school department makes their own requests, actually, and we
For
as the
over
Board
there.
of Selectmen make
Well-
ours for the town side.
I think if we can get these 3 rooms done, I think that would be a big help.
All right, so when I work with the town administrator and put something together and then submit it to the board so that you guys can review and then
I believe we have
send
to
it
make
off
the
to
actual
WCTV?
request.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Very good. Derek, anything you'd like to add to this, or?
I know they're interested in changing their venues, so it would be interesting if we could link anything with that. But we're going to have the old town hall then. That's essentially that would still be set up, or it would be
If WCTV does actually move, that facility will be there. It'll be cabled, but the equipment won't be there. They'll be taking the equipment with them.
Right.
But, certainly by, adding these other rooms to the system, it gives us the ability to put more content on the government channel, which doesn't have a whole lot at the moment, just a bulletin board.
all right. Thank you.
And this company, Akada? Is that how you
Akada
say that?
Communications.
This is not the company that we hired
No.
to do the computer project, right?
No, this vendor here is the one that we use currently with all the telephone systems in town.
Ouch. It's not that funny.
It is.
It's not
it-
funny
They
at
both
all.
begin with an A, but it's not the same vendor.
No, thank God for that. Selectman Slavin?
Well, our town administrator could have a daily show. Derek Sullivan or his designee.
I was going to say that I don't mind which room we choose as long as it's not my office.
Since when did Mr. Slavin develop a sense of humor?
This morning.
Fell and hit his head. Next item, please. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Have a good night.
Next item is the social media policy. I think we have finally have the right copy this time.
There must be some reason we can put this off for a couple more weeks, huh?
You're sitting next to Judy, so I wouldn't suggest that. You're right in the line of fire.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be making that motion, not where you're sitting.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it, I promise.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the social media policy
Second.
for discussion.
I would, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on the question, I would like to thank Mrs. Whiteside and Mr. Bowen for their fine efforts on this policy, and just make the comment that in regards to, or in response to the folks who have a little bit of problem with the English language, this doesn't restrict anyone's free rights of speech. It does, however, require our people that want to use our site, the town, to follow a certain guideline. And we're well within our rights to do that. And if they want to go off and go on Facebook or do whatever they want to do, everybody has a right to do that. But when they're using our site, the town site, and our particular social media, we do have a right to govern what our people do on those sites, just as in any other company or corporation in America that you can do that. So, and I do want to thank them, because I know this wasn't easy to get this done, and I stand behind them and support it.
Thank you. I just would like to add that use of the town seal without permission is a criminal act. And that is part of the policy. So anybody who may choose to use the town seal needs to be aware of that. And this is something that has been in this draft form since the beginning.
Thank you. Anything else on the social media policy?
I'm good.
Selectman Slavin? Well, let's have a motion.
The
did.
motion's made. The seconded.
Who made the motion?
He
You did.
I seconded.
That was quiet. Okay, motion made by Selectman Slavin, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you for your patience and endurance.
Thank you. I think now we can work on putting together a pretty good website for the town, following some of the suggestions that have been made. Thank you.
Next item.
Next item up is NIMS training for town administration. Lieutenant Walchuk. This is an issue I think I asked about 2-3 years ago, maybe.
Probably.
We went to an MMA conference, and I believe it was I think it was Monson, when they had that bad flood some years ago and virtually destroyed the whole town, and they were running the town out of a trailer. All their payroll records, everything were virtually inaccessible, and they had to try and figure out how were they going to actually run their town from the administration standpoint, not from the emergency services. And there was a discussion about the NIMS program, which basically selectmen get trained on how to respond and how to function when you don't have any assets that you normally have.
Yes, and thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I've spoken to Jonathan Grenier from MEMA about the training. He said that MEMA is not offering it right now, but will be in the very near future. In fact, Wareham's playing host on October 28th, 29th, and 30th for incident command training at in fact, it's going to be in the lower floor of the town hall, ICS 300, and public
Nothing's
safety
happened
officials
yet.
from the area will be attending, and I will be there as well. We have a very good relationship with MEMA, and when they say that they'll get us properly trained, I believe they will. I've spoken to Mr. Sullivan about the issue at hand, and he actually had some very good ideas about it, and about partnering up with another community and have a memorandum of understanding with another town, so that we could work with them in the event that we had a disaster, or they had something they could use our facilities. But that's the logistics that we have to work out. I've spoken to my colleague over in Plymouth, Aaron Wallace, who's a emergency management director there, and he said the continuity of government course, he said it's very difficult for a town to do. He said it is a difficult thing for a town to keep in operation, you know, post a storm. And he said, basically, he said one of the most important things is, you know, to make sure the bills are getting paid, the people are getting paid, and who's in charge. And so those are the things that continuity of government class should answer for us. So, again, we are hosting that class on the 28th, 29th, and 30th, the ICS class. And so I'm sure John will perhaps give us a date then that we could have the training. And we would certainly invite other towns as well. We have the facility there at the town hall. They had already they attended our LEPC meeting there that we had, and they were very happy with that and asked if they could use it. So making strides.
Are you basically wanting us to come to the event on the 28th through the 30th for that
I
one
think,
course or not?
No, I think that will be more of a public safety direction. And in fact, you have to have some prerequisites before you take that course within the incident command system. But it is very important for public safety officials to have that as part of the whole national incident management system.
When the NIMS thing program is available, just let us know. I'm sure the board will, as much as possible, most of us will try and make that. Thank you.
And there has been a lot of call for it around the Commonwealth, so it's just they were kind of stretched thin with all the disasters we've had. Thank you.
Just wanted to clean up a loose end I thought we might have.
Questions? Well, thank you for the update. We'll look forward to learning when the NIMS training will be offered next.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
very
John.
much.
Have a good night.
Next item is stormwater management regulations for 2014. Mr. Menard. About the Red Sox are playing here. On
Yeah, the
side of
update
board.
is 2 down in the ninth. Well,
Mr. Chairman, before you get started, can we get an update from the back row, please?
I can give you one right here.
Well, you shouldn't be doing that in the middle of a meeting.
Well-
They can do it back there, though.
I'm not umpiring, so I can.
Oh.
2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Nobody on. But
Okay.
the first guy on got a double play.
The reason Mr. Minot is here, I'll wait till everybody's done. The reason Mr. Minot is here, again, is about a year ago, again, we had requirements from the federal government, very much like our FEMA maps, but stormwater management program that we have to comply with. Of course, these are mandates that they don't pay for as usual, and we can try and get grants, but usually doesn't work very well. And 2014 was the trigger year that we had to start to comply with certain pieces. So I kind of asked if, through our town administrator, if Mr. Menard would come up and just give us an update, just in case there's things that we will need to do in the near future, or whether we'll have some expenses that we're going to have to somehow absorb.
Okay, we're currently we're dealing with Beta Group. We're in year 11 of the stormwater reporting, and what else we got here? They're in the future going to be updating the guidelines as far as how much the basin cleanings, like twice a year. They're basically going for, if they're half full, they have to be cleaned, and we have to report all this stuff to the DCR every year. So the money we're looking for probably is either, I mean, I did a little bit of research on how much it costs, like other towns and stuff like that, doing the sweeping and the basin cleaning and stuff like that. And in our range between 1,500 and 3,000 basins, we're looking at any range from $29,000 to $40,000 annually to keep them clean. That's what we're looking at in the future.
Do you have that in your budget at this point? Or?
No, I don't have that in my budget this year, no.
Well,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I mean, you have money in there now for cleaning and basins, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we have our own catch basin cleaning, but,
Right. How much
on
do
an-
we, how much do we put aside for that now?
right now, that was prior to me, the budgeting for this, but,
I'm
The-
sorry.
it's
I thi- time
subcontracting-
out. 1 second.
Yeah.
Time out. I think the Red Sox just won. Yes, they do. Congratulations, and let's just do this one more time.
I think that's now it's now
I'm
2 to
sorry.
1.
Okay, don't ask the rest of us to
I'm
rub
just trying to
that.
understand the difference between what you have budgeted and what it costs you now, and what. And
right
what
now,
the
we're not
difference would be.
making the minimum standards of
Okay.
what we're supposed to be doing.
All right. So to increase that to get us the minimum, to get us to the minimum standards, it's going to cost us an additional. What did you say? 29.
Yeah, 29 to 40, yeah.
Does that include manpower?
That's like subcontracting and out. If we're including manpower, then now that's a different scenario as far as getting, additional staff, that I can staff that truck, on a 5-day-a-week basis. If you just do the math, 2,400 basins at 5 days a week, you only got 260 days in a year's work days, and it's going to take them pretty much 240 days to do them.
Right.
How long does it take to do one?
the
Depends
way,
on-
the way they're full now, you're looking maybe an average 10 to 20 basins a day. Probably the way they are now, 10. There are a lot of them stuffed full. That's what you average, 10 basins a day.
What do you do with the stuff that you take out?
It's really stockpiled at our barn right now. In the past, they used it as fill for the landfills and stuff like that. But that's going to run out someday too, so we're going to have to be able to dispose of all these sweepings and catch basin cleanings in the future. That's something else that we're going to have to be dealing with in the future.
Because they're not considered clean, right?
Yeah, that's what they say, yeah. They grab the oils from the roadways and stuff like that. So that's another standard that we're going to have to deal with in the future.
The stormwater management program that's being done on Merchants Way, you'll have to add budget for that, because I believe you agreed to 4 or 5 maintenance items you would take care of on that project as well.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Okay.
That'll be cleaning basins too, yeah.
So basically, budget of 20 for the year 2015, we're going to have to look at a fairly good increase for municipal
And
maintenance.
I believe I already put in some fairly increases in there already.
Okay. As you go along, when you see new requirements coming down the line, I think it's going to be critical to have the town administrator right up front with it, so he knows where he's going. Because I don't think the government really has great concern about where the money comes from on their end for us.
No, this is a program that promises to cost more and more every single year.
Well, but I'm sorry, but there's just no money for this. We all know that. So they can mandate all they want. What are they going to come down and put us in jail if we don't do it? You know what I'm saying?
They can implement fines on us. They're going to, fine us per day and.
Well, that's nice. If they want to pay for it, then they can level anything they want on us. But this is not, there's no way we're going to afford to pay for this. We don't have the money. We're going to cut a police officer so we can go around and clean some catch basins because they want to up the standard. This doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know how we're going to do this.
That's what it's about, all clean water.
Yeah, well,
That's what
I don't
we're
know how.
looking at. If you don't clean the basins and this gets into your bays and people can't swim and stuff, you got to look at the big picture here.
Well, the big picture, but where are you getting the money?
That's what our problem is. We got to generate
Exactly.
revenue
You see,
somehow differently.
it's
Yeah.
where we getting the money. That's the key to the ball game. We can say, everything's pie in the sky. We can, and I'm not blaming you. Don't get me wrong. It has nothing to do with you at all. It's just that I'm really tired of these unfunded mandates that they put on us. The whole snow plowing issue came down because they decided they didn't want to pay us anymore for the reimbursements. All of these things they're throwing on us that we have no ability to raise funds. We have Proposition 2.5. We have no ability to raise money. None. And I'm sorry to say this. I just want to get this out there. I want people to understand. These things are killing us. They're killing our budget. They're decimating our services. Our libraries are closed. We're looking at next year a huge deficit. We're going to have to cut more programs and more things because of these unfunded mandates. And somewhere we got to make a stand. We got to make a stand and say no more. We don't have it. And I mean, if it means getting other towns involved and getting together with them, and all of us standing up and saying, "Hey, we're just not going to do it unless you pay for it." I don't know what it is, but we got to do something. And please don't get me wrong. I know I understand the clean water thing. Believe me, everybody wants clean water. So do I. But what do? Do we get rid of policemen? Do we get rid of school teachers? I mean, what do we get rid of to pay for this unfunded mandate? That's the only thing, And look, folks, we're going to have to start making a stand here somewhere along the way. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but we got to make a stand.
Thank you. Selectman Whiteside?
Yes, I have a question. The federal and state mandates that we have today, including on the school side of the government, do we have a list of those someplace and what they're costing us today? I know we have a capital planning committee, but we ought to have you got to be kidding me, you got to make us do this committee.
Exactly.
Actually, we do. Two years ago, I put it together. In 2011, we had 22 unfunded mandates.
Well, what is this committee called, and when does it meet?
It wasn't a committee. I just went ahead and went down the line and figured out every mandate that was not funded anymore.
Okay, well, I think that's part of, I'm sure you did, Alan, Mr. Slavin, because
Alan's fine.
I'm used to you now. But it certainly needs to be part of our budget presentation. It needs to be part of what we say to the town meeting.
Absolutely.
It needs to be part of what we say here on a regular basis as we bring up the issues of how to run this town. If there's a mandate, and there are billions of them, I'm sure, and most of them are unfunded, we can either come to a screeching halt, a la Washington, D.C., or we can come to a screeching halt. But unless we have a list, an updated list, because I'm sure there are 27 more, I don't think that we're really, and this is not a criticism, Mr. Sullivan.
No.
I think it would enhance people's understandings of how awful it is to try and balance this town's budget. So that might be my suggestion.
I think it's a heck of an idea, and I think we ought to do that forthwith. Come up with that list, and you can probably add to Alan's. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. 100%.
Well, we can make that an agenda item, discussion of unfunded mandates. It's easy enough.
We discussed a couple of years ago getting other towns together, at least 10 to 20 towns in that range, to talk about the modular homes and mobile homes, which through our Representative Gifford has actually got a House bill that's moving up the ladder.
Right.
A lot of support, and this is the first step of many. When I spoke to, I think it was Selectmen from Shrewsbury, Selectmen from up near Fitchburg, and I had one other one. We talked about at that time maybe just sitting down and saying enough's enough and we're not going to pay anymore, and trying to get as many as possible just to make a stand. Because as an individual town, they'll ignore us.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that an informed public is a public that can do things.
Oh, I don't disagree.
And
at
I'm
all.
not even sure that I could come up with what'd you say, 27?
I have 22.
22?
That's in 2011. I stopped accumulating at that point. It's probably
Okay,
over
so
30
I
now.
mean, I'd be happy to help you update that list because I think it's something, I do think that it's something that we ought to be putting on our agenda on a regular basis, possibly monthly, with a budget discussion to talk about the impact of, you're telling me to do this, tell me how to pay for it.
That's why when we have that SWMI that I brought forward here, where they have grants available,
Yep.
is because these are things that we're being required to do for our
Right.
water and our sewer, and we have on the town side.
Yeah,
we have
again,
no,
I'm
we
way
have no
off
budgets.
topic. I apologize, Mr. Menard.
Yeah, but
Selectman-
again, it's not David's.
Actually,
Selectman Tropiano?
this is a thing that MMA should be taking up. Frankly, the Mass Municipal Association, they should be on this
That initiative is from them.
all over the place
Yeah.
because this is unbelievable. These in all state, the other thing is somebody should point out, I don't know if you know this, but when Proposition 2.5 was passed, there was two components. There was the cap on the tax rate, but there was also that unfunded, that mandates, that anytime the state mandated, they were supposed to pay for it. They were supposed to fund it. And that was part of it. And then they started, in the middle of the night, they started exempting themselves from the mandate funding source and voting the mandate out, basically saying, okay, well, we're going to exempt this we're going to mandate this, but we're going to exempt the funding. And they did this quite regularly, which of course then threw Proposition 2.5 into a quandary. It's bad enough as it is because, let's face it, it's phased in bankruptcy for everybody. Every town is struggling with this all across the state. And I don't know the answer, but I know that we've got to start thinking about this. If we're actually talking about fixing the budget in this town at some point, without this portion of it, without the discussion of this, we can't fix it. It's impossible.
Mr. Chair, I've sent the selectmen the MMA's proposition on unfunded mandates. And actually, I think through one of the glitches, it's gone to you 8 times. So you'll receive 8 emails about it. Read any one of them, and they're the same. So,
And very briefly, I agree with my colleagues. But also, on that list, these 5 people sitting here and 5 people that have been sitting here for many years sign these pink books every week. That needs to be on the list too, because we're just as guilty as everybody else when we sign these payrolls and we promise these retirement funds. It's all unfunded liability. And, I still think at some point we need to get Mr. Paulson in to educate the board and the town, what these pink books mean. What's the number today, Mr. Sullivan?
we were at 84 million.
84 million. That's what we owe the town.
84 million. We might as well give them the town.
I'm sorry?
Might as well give them the town to try to pay $84 million.
It's $84 million. That's where we're at today. It's an unfunded mandate, just like we're talking about from everybody else. This needs to be addressed at some point. Every city and town's going through it. It doesn't make it right. Like Patrick just said. It doesn't make it right. So we have to fix ours too. So this number somewhere in our budget process, we have to start looking at that number.
I agree.
And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. And at some point, it's going to hit the fan.
Actually, Mr.
Thank
Sullivan, Mr. Sullivan actually has started the process by putting on, I believe there's a warrant article to set up the basic unfunded account. Even though there's no funding at this time, at least it's finally being recognized.
Yeah, they've made a lot of changes, which I think is a little bit misunderstood. For the next 20 years, it's the people that have been putting in a certain percentage. The 5%ers are gone. Anybody that's at the 9+2, which is of the age, I believe they'd said, if you're coming in your 20s, early 30s, if you go through and you put in your time and retire in the 65, if you're going to do your 80%, you have fully funded it yourself on your retirement. You're now, because at the 11% plus whatever they need for the return on investments is only 14%, and a 3% return annually is fine. The next 20 years are what's going to be the worst for the municipalities.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at.
I'm just saying that it should be added to that list.
Yeah.
Because it is an issue that we have to deal with.
It's on my list.
I'm sorry?
It's on my list.
Oh, is it one of the 22 already?
Yes, it is.
Good man.
Anything else for Mr. Menard?
No, like I say, whenever something comes up, just let us know, David.
Absolutely.
Happy to have you come forward anytime.
Thanks.
Mr.
Yep.
Campino wants to speak also.
Thank you, by the way.
Thanks.
Well, you got an update? You said the game was over.
Oh, he's making you stay.
I got an update. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did want to throw this out. Stormwater is being integrated with sanitary sewer because it's going to become a treatment. And one of the things I would suggest to the board is we may want to look at combining or at least using the sewer department to treat stormwater and look at that angle or that area to help fund this. I just want to throw it out there. I've got the paperwork, I've got things, so I just throw it out there and something else we can look at.
Guy,
Thank
if
you.
you like, I have plenty of copies.
It's your bedtime reading, I guess.
There you go. That works out.
Thanks, Guy.
That can be problematic.
Item H, discussion of warrant articles, favorable action vote. We have, nothing has changed from what we had. It was still holding on those 4 or 5 articles. Town
Yeah,
administrator's
Just
report.
to explain once again, we have to wait for the public hearings by the planning board, see what the final documents are going to be. We may well end up doing our favorable action votes on these the opening night of town meeting, but there's really no way to avoid that.
Cranberry Lane also still has not got all the requirements done yet. so,
Right.
Town administrator's report.
Thank you very much. This morning I was attending a meeting at Stonehill College for the Economic Development Self-Assessment Tool run through Northeastern and their Dukakis Center, and there's much more language as to what that center does. But again, it was Easton doing it. It was interesting to see who they had in there from their master plan committee, Selectmen, finance committee. It was very educational because I saw there were some gaps of people that weren't attending. That I think to get the most out of it, we'll definitely be looking to make sure those people that weren't there, because I think everybody knows that we will be having the economic development self-assessment tool done for the town of Wareham, and that this is being done, the cost is being covered. It usually costs $10,000. So, I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity, and being able to see what was going on with another town which did a great job, but maybe there were some gaps where we definitely want to make sure that we have people. It was a great opportunity to get a first look at it. So I'm very, very excited to see what this can help us do. I don't know if there's any questions on that. The next item is something that people have been speaking about, and I don't know if everybody really understands what happened. Several weeks ago, one of the volunteers walked into the food pantry, and it was discovered that the freezer door had been left open, and this was only open once every 2 weeks or bi-weekly. Mold had grown, not just mold, but mold throughout the carpets, the ceilings, throughout everything. We had to call a disaster team to come through, and because basically you had to seal it off. They had to come in the gear and rip and tear everything out. Cost $1,500. In looking at it, while we appreciate what everybody did to put it together. Running a bi-weekly food pantry, just although it's serving people, isn't maximizing it. We'll not be opening the food pantry again. We will be seeking to work with the local nonprofits that are doing this and already delivering it, and seeing what we can do to help out and put our energies towards that. This was the second time that the freezer door had been left open. There'd been spoilage. This was the worst. We'd also had an infestation before of moths out of there, and I have to be blunt, it's just not safe. So this is nothing that we don't care. It is because we care. We want to make sure that we're delivering the right and proper goods to people. So we will be reaching out to the food pantries and seeing who we can partner with to deliver the best food services. And I appreciate everybody's time and effort that was put into this. It's obviously a noble cause, but we need to do what's right. So thank you.
Okay, anything else? Next item, please.
Liaison reports, Judy? Patrick?
Nope.
Steve? Okay. I'll do this quick. I met this morning actually with, I believe it was about 8 or 9 seniors over at the Council on Aging over at Multi-Service Center. I basically sat down and took notes, and they basically explained a lot of their frustrations, issues, which Mr. Sullivan's brought up one, which is the food pantry. There's another issue which has to do with their bus transportation and issues of having to eat by 11:30 because the bus leaves at 12 o'clock, and therefore it doesn't work too well for them trying to digest their food and be in and out in a half hour. There were issues, of course, with the work-off program because we had to cut back, and there was some issues as well there. What I've done is taken notes. They will get back to us. I would like to bring, with the board's approval, 3 or 4 of the seniors to come in and actually physically talk to us at some time, probably after town meeting, just to get an idea. I think the real problem, which Derek has solved a little bit today by discussing the food pantry, is communication. People hear rumors, they hear what's really not there. People just start rumors just to do it, and the end result is they think, one is I heard they were closing the multi-service center down, the school's taking it all over. I heard one that the school bought the multi-service center from the town. It just goes on. So we need to basically get right up with them and speak to them and let them explain to us what their issues are, because we don't see it. We work, everybody here either works or does things on a day-to-day basis. We don't see what happens with the seniors, and I think we keep forgetting what the seniors are and who they were and what they did for us way back. They have a lunch program. I volunteered Mr. Sullivan, which I should have done, maybe to go once every 2 weeks and have lunch with them and just sit and listen. You pick up a lot of things from people when you don't really see what goes on a daily basis. And that's all I have today.
I don't have anything.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Selectman Slavin, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. Thank you all. Good night.